What's going on, everybody? This is ODC, it's me, and I'm back with another action figure review. This is my review of the Marvel Legends Infinite Series Odin Wave / King Thor Wave. This is Marvel Now Thor. I was actually really looking forward to this figure, to be honest with you. I know a lot of people are probably just like, oh, another Thor. Do we really need one since we're getting a King Thor in this wave? But to be honest with you, I was actually kind of looking forward to the Marvel Now look for him. And I'm going to do a comparison with the Heroic Age Thor. And it's slight, very slight, minuscule differences in the two looks. There's a couple of gripes that I do have with this figure, but it's just quality control stuff. So it's probably just my figure, but still it's a problem, and I want to bring it to light so everybody knows about it. Pardon me. He does include the right leg of Odin, or King Thor, or whatever the hell you want to call it. Or if you're trying to do a custom Ares, the right leg of Ares. Yeah, it looks good though. Nice sculpting. Double joint knee. There you go. Bringing Thor back in here. He does come with an accessory. And his one accessory is the Mjolnir hammer. Thor's hammer. It's got some pretty nice detail, some black paint shading going throughout the hammer itself. Looks pretty cool. So there you go. It's got a little handle. It's pretty much the same hammer as the Heroic Age one, I believe. But bringing him in here, there are some differences in this figure. He obviously has a new head sculpt. I believe the cape is the same. Pretty sure when I bring the other Thor in here, everything is pretty much the same except for his wristbands here and the head. Which actually, you know what? I will bring in Heroic Age Thor and we'll take a look at him and compare the two. Okay, and we're back with both Thors, and as you can see here, there's obviously some different paint shading on the Mjolnir hammer. Excuse me. Let me just get some better light over here. As you can see there's a little bit more black shading going on here, and he's obviously got like a silvery gloss to this. The Marvel Now's hammer as opposed to the Heroic Age hammer, which is kind of just like a flat silver grayish color. So there's the differences in the hammer. As far as the cape and body and feet and legs and everything else, and arms, the arms are obviously a different sculpt. Pretty much the same kind of articulation in the arms though. They swivel at the elbow and they bend a single bend. So same articulation, just I would say different arms from pretty much up to the wrist. They're different. Obviously there's no armor on this Thor. This hand stayed the same. It's just painted a little black on there for his, I guess, his hands. These two hands are different. As you can see, he's got an open gripping hand, and this one has a closed gripping hand. As far as the boots, they are exactly the same, just painted different color. The legs are the same. They're just painted black and half silver or gray on one side, so they are exactly the same. So he's pretty much the exact same except for the head and the wrist and this hand. So it's pretty much the same. Looking at the capes in the back, it's probably it's the exact same cape. A little bit, I would say, a little bit lighter. This color has the Marvel Now Thor has a little bit of a lighter red as opposed to the darker red that this one has. And as you can see here, he's got a little bit of a lighter. This Heroic Age Thor has a little bit lighter of a brown straps going on his boots, but pretty much the same. Obviously the head sculpts are much different, as you can see there. I think I still prefer this head sculpt, to be honest with you. Yeah, I think I still prefer this head sculpt. Might actually still be the same head sculpt, just with a different... Ooh, pardon me. Burp. I think it's the same head sculpt, actually, to be honest with you, just with a different helmet sculpted onto his head. Obviously, the hair will be different, and on the back portion, this is not actually his hair. This is actually a looks like a dust cover or something like that attached to his helmet, or some sort of cloth. This one does not. His hair is just kind of sticking out. So it looks like they just resculpted the helmet. So if anything, he's got a resculpted helmet in the same head, and he's pretty much almost the same, except for these little wristbands here, and the arms are sculpted different. So there you go with the comparison. Sorry if I went on too long there, but I really wanted to get in depth with the differences between the two, because there are some differences. As far as his articulation goes, his head does move side to side about that much. It doesn't really look up or down. It doesn't really move because of, I guess, his helmet guard is kind of blocking that. And he doesn't really, I think he's just pretty much on a ball peg anyway, so he can't really move that much. His arms go up about that far, and they do go down. They cannot do a full 360 because of the hinderment of the cape. He does have a bicep swivel here. He's got a single bend at the elbow, and he also has a elbow swivel, which is kind of redundant if you have a bicep swivel here. I would prefer they take away this piece of articulation and give us an ankle pivot, which is what they should have done. But oh well, whatever. He's got a single bend, or a hinge joint at the wrist. He also has a wrist swivel. He does have this diaphragm joint, which you get that kind of movement, and it does go side to side. He can twist. He does not have a waist swivel. He also, his little, I guess if you want to call it, his little Mjolnir holder here is articulated as well. He does have, I'm pretty sure he has T-jointed hips, which go forward, and they do go back, and they do go out, so you can get him in the splits nicely if he ever wants to become an acrobat. He's got double jointed knees. He also has a ankle swivel and an ankle hinge. I really would have preferred, I was really looking forward to this figure because I thought they would have fixed his ankle issues. I have 2 left feet on mine, so guys, when you're opening up your Thor, be aware he might be coming with 2 left feet. I don't know why mine did. Obviously it's a quality control issue, but as you can see there, he kind of stands a little bit awkward. He stands fine, but he stands a tad awkward. Like this leg's kind of, let me just get him out of here. This leg's kind of bow-legged on the side here, and even if you straighten it, he kind of wants to kick his foot out like that, like so. And it's not lined up properly. These are just little things that really, really kind of bother me, especially when I'm trying to get him into like a certain stance. He doesn't want to do it. But, I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it's just something that they really need to start looking at if they're trying to improve their products and give us more products for Hasbro. They need to pay attention to this stuff and realize that nowadays no figure should come without an ankle pivot, and that's just the way it is with me. I feel like every figure should get an ankle pivot at this point. I mean, it's 2015 now. And I just feel like where we're at with action figures, if 90% of them come with ankle pivots, then I feel like all of them should. And you shouldn't, if you're going to reuse a mold, like they reused the Bullseye body for, what was it, Protector, and they reused it for Iron Fist. They actually gave those figures ankle pivots. They tossed out the old ankle pivots, which weren't that great, and they gave us new ankle pivots. So, I mean, if you did it with those, why can't you do it with Thor here? I just think it makes sense, and this might actually be one of the last times we actually get a Thor, unless they decide to go with a classic Thor, which would be cool too. But overall, I think he's a solid figure. I don't think he's going to be the most sought after, maybe only for the BAF pieces down the line. But these figures are becoming more and more common. They're pretty much going to be everywhere. They're in Walmart, they're in Target, they're in Toys R Us. This wave's going to be everywhere, guys. Don't flip out and overpay for action figures when they're going to be released everywhere. So that's just my little advice that I can give to my fellow collectors or fellow new collectors for that matter. Yeah, so this is, I mean, I would definitely recommend this figure. He's a really decent figure, and I always like the original release of the Marvel Now Thor. He's probably one of my favorite figures sculpt-wise, maybe not articulation-wise, because these ankles really bother me. You know what, I just noticed that he's got 2 left feet too. He's kind of doing that ankle kick-out thing too. So maybe it's just something with this Thor. He just, I don't know, pretty much wants to not have proper ankles or proper feet put on. But they're both good figures. I would say I like the what's wrong with me right now? The Heroic Age a little bit better than the Marvel Now, but this is still a really good figure. He's a good height. I'll do a couple other size comparisons here. I'll just bring in here's Spider-Man. There we go. There's Amazing Spider-Man 2 Spider-Man. So he's much larger. And I'll bring in actually this Spider-Man 2, which I just reviewed if you want to check it out. And he's actually much taller than the Amazing Spider-Man 2 Spider-Man, as you can see there. And he's still being dwarfed by Thor. So, and there they are standing side to side. So I mean, he's in the right scale, to be honest with you, and he's a really nice looking figure. Just wish they tweaked him a little bit to make him a little bit better. So so yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you for watching as always, and I will see you guys on the flip side.